What's going on, everybody? It is your boy LuigiDini here. We are back. We are officially back. It is January of 26. We haven't done an episode since the spring of last year. So I am very excited to be back. Very excited to be over the airwaves talking to all of you. We are officially now in season 2. It is episode 1. We are going to be going into Super Mario RPG in a little while. My favorite game of all time, what I consider the GOAT of all GOATs when it comes to Mario games, Nintendo games. We're going to dive into details about, the plot, the game, the characters, all the loving things about that game. But first and foremost, we are officially back. I'm very excited to be here. I just want to give you guys some insight on what's been going on. So, around spring of last year, for the ones of my followers who are close to me, you guys know I'm a big marathoner. I've got 2 beautiful baby boys, and I work in the fitness industry. All of those things, they took over my life, as they should. Those are the priorities. It's the boys, it is work to make money, obviously. Gotta make money in this world. And, life in general just takes you in a lot of different ways. Yeah, basically just a little rundown of what's been going on. So, I was in heavy marathon training. Completed the Long Island Marathon last May. Did that. It was kind of my return to running. And then throughout the summer, I actually dove right into another training cycle. So if you are a runner or you've ever done any sort of competition whatsoever, or race, or powerlifting, or bodybuilding, you know it's a grind. It is a day-to-day grind of nutrition, running, training, hours upon hours of good stuff. But we dove right in from one to another, and what that does, it takes up a lot of time. It takes up a lot of time for the extracurriculars, the things you're passionate about, the things that you love, the hobbies you love to do, the things that get you away from the real life. And unfortunately, my streaming and this podcast kind of got pushed to the wayside. Over the time, I got into that other training cycle. Then, for my international friends out there, I then ran the Cape Cod Marathon in October. So that kind of took all that time. So now we're into the fall. And, we did really well there. We ran a really good race out there. And then, October brings the holidays, and you got to be there. You got to do all the holiday things. And considering I have 2 5-year-old boys, you got to be there for them, and you got to make sure that every minute with them is a memory. You got to make memories when they're young, because they are growing up so quick. They have made their little appearances on my stream before. They're little funny, enthusiastic voices, getting in trouble while I'm streaming, but you know what? They are the best things in my world, and I would not change it for a thing. But yeah, just being a dad, working full time, being a runner who has goals, it takes up a lot of time. So I do apologize to all my followers and my listeners out there that we haven't been back, but I am trying to not reinvent the wheel here, but I'm trying to use this opening episode of the new season to kind of be the kick in the pants, per se, to really get us going again. So yeah, we're back. We are back. I don't want to make any extravagant promises, because obviously life is still full-time. I got a new job in the fitness industry. I'm a fitness manager now, so I'm managing a great team under me here in the States. And you know what? It's a full-time gig, plus my training. I got another marathon. If you guys didn't know, March 1st, I'll be flying out to Tokyo, Japan to run the Tokyo Marathon, which is one of the biggest marathons in the world. I am blessed to have this opportunity to continue my goals there. But yeah, we are trying to make a full comeback here at some capacity. Again, I do not want to make any extravagant promises that the podcast and streaming it whole are going to be coming back on a weekly basis, but my goal, and I'm putting this out here, my goal is to give you guys at least 2 to 3 episodes a month. because I do enjoy this. I do love this. It is something that, I've been a gamer since I was a kid. I grew up with Super Nintendo and Sega Genesis. I love it. I love games, and I obviously love the gaming community that I was a part of for a big portion of 2024, 2025. And yeah, we're going to be back at some capacity. The goal is 2 to 3 episodes a month. And I'm going to try to give you guys that. Bring some of your favorite streamers on, some people you don't know. I've got a couple things lined up with people locally here that have great stories, that love gaming as well. So the season's going to be a good one. It's just a matter of how many episodes we can churn out over 2026. And one of my goals for the new year was to find that balance again. Find the balance of real life and then this amazing, amazing hobby and thing I'm passionate about, which is podcasting, which is streaming. So we are using this opening episode, season 2, episode 1, to dive back in. So we are in a little while going to go deep into Super Mario RPG. It is a solo episode because this is my game. This is my bread and butter. This is a game I have played through, I can't even, countless amount of times. So we're going to get into that in a moment. But I just wanted to say we are back at some capacity. We're going to be bringing you guys content. We're going to bring you guys a lot of great guests over this next year here in season 2. And I'm really excited about it. So, yeah, right after this break, we are going to dive right into Super Mario RPG. I'm going to tell you all about the greatest game of all time. Alright guys, so we are back. It is time for the main segment, which is our deep dive into the greatest game of all time. My favorite game, Super Mario RPG for Super Nintendo. So again, if you guys have ever watched my streams, if you guys have seen the podcast before, I've mentioned this game, I talk about the game. It is my game, it is my favorite game ever. So we're going to do a little dive into it. I'm going to tell you all about it. If you've never played it before, obviously, if you have a Super Nintendo, or if you have a, like I have, you have these emulators on your computer, download it, enjoy it, love it, embrace it for everything that it absolutely is. It's the best. So, Super Mario RPG, one of the OGs for the Super Nintendo console. It was released back in 1996. My first memory of the game, really simple. Back in the day when Toys R Us existed, I remember going to the Toys R Us with my mom and my sister. I was a good boy at school that week, so I was able to go pick a game or a toy, and of course I was browsing the gaming section because that's what I do, or that's what I did, at least back then. And I saw this game on the shelf. Big Mario fan. Obviously, I was playing the OG. I was playing Super Mario 2, Mario 3, and then I saw this game. And the artwork in front of the game is, if you are watching this on YouTube, it is right in the middle there. That is the box art for Super Mario RPG. You see Mario, you see Peach, you see Bowser, and I was just like, it's calling to me. For some reason, it was calling me, and like, the characters look different. They look different from what they do in the other 3 games. So I was like, sure, why not? I was like, I don't know what drew me to it, but it was behind the glass and it was in, the box, because you remember back in the Super Nintendo days, it came in the, the nice thin box, and I was like, all right, that's what I want. So my mom's bought it for me, and I brought it home, popped it in, and I just instantly fell in love with it. If you guys don't know what the plot is, we'll go through the plot real quick. It's a Mario game. It starts like any other Mario game with the same plot that it always is. You start with Mario, and Peach gets captured. Toad is crying about it, and you have to go to Bowser's castle to retrieve Toad. Again, nothing out of the ordinary, nothing different. Princess Toadstool, Peach, whatever you want to call her, she got captured again. And so it's, you go in the castle, or you go in Bowser's Keep, Bowser's Castle, whatever you want to call it. And you have to fight a bunch of his goons. You fight some Goombas. You fight some Koopas. But again, it's an RPG game, and this was my first ever RPG experience. So if you ever played like Final Fantasy, Book of Mana, things like that, it's an RPG game, so it's a little different. You have your attacks, you have your spells or your specials, you have items that you can use, so you're basically just trying to bring the enemy's HP down. So you go through a few of the rooms, and then ultimately you get to the main room, which is Bowser's room, and Peach is in the sky hanging by a rope, and you have to fight Bowser right off the rip. And you defeat Bowser, and you're fighting on chandeliers, these huge chandeliers, if that makes sense. So you fight Bowser, you take him out, and you think it's like, okay, cool. And it's like, in my first experience, I was like, is this the game? Like, is that it? Like, I already got Peach back. But no. What happens is you defeat Bowser. Bowser falls to the ground. Big thump happens, and then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, the Bowser's Keep starts like exploding out of nowhere. So like, you run outside again. Peach nowhere to be found, and you don't know what happened to her. So it's like, all right, we're basically survival of the fittest at this point. And all of a sudden, a big sword comes from the sky and slices straight in the middle of Bowser's Keep. And it's this huge sword that's taller than the castle, or the keep, again, whatever you want to call it. And then you go back home, then you go back, and the bridge to Bowser's Keep is completely gone. So you can't get back there. And so originally, like right off the rip, what you think is, all right, so at the end of this whole story, you have to go back to the keep and you have to beat the sword, which eventually you do, but we'll get back to that. So anyway, what happens is this sword takes over Bowser's Keep, and now the actual story begins. So you have to, throughout this, through all like the summary and the gameplay and like all, because it's a lot of reading and like reading the story as it's going on, the characters like conversing, things of that sort, you find that Exor, which is the sword, takes over Bowser's Keep, and something destroys what is called Star Road, which is what we're going to get into. And your goal, and what you have to do, is you have to go around the map, this very large, extravagant map with all these different levels, all these different areas, and you have to collect 7 star pieces. All right, so that's the plot. Basically, you beat Bowser right off the bat. You think you got Peach back, which is great. She disappears. Bowser's pissed off and is crying because he lost his keep. And then the sword comes out of nowhere, and then the story actually begins. So throughout the levels, the areas, you collect not only the star pieces by beating the bosses, but you also gain characters. And this is where the fun comes in. So Mario's the main character. That's the one you control, of course, because it's a Mario game. But along the way, you meet different characters. And each character has a different motive, has a different story behind them, and reason why they're in the story. And I think, honestly, like when I think about this game, it truly is the characters that make this game. The 5 main characters, and then I'm going to go into each of them so that you guys get a little backstory on each. It's obviously Mario, Mallow, Gino, which I will be ranting and raving about Gino throughout this episode, so just bear with me. Gino is like my favorite character in any video game of all time, so again, bear with me when I talk about him. But then you also play as Peach, and you also play as Bowser. So that is like one of the main unique things about this Mario game, is that Mario and Bowser are actually on the same team. He's a teammate. He's not an enemy. He's not a rival. He is literally on your team throughout this quest to get the 7-star pieces and then eventually get back to XOR the sword, and then the end, which is further down the road. So again, you go through the map, which is this amazing map, different areas, which each have their own different charm and just beauty to the game. Like, it's real for an old game. It really is like a beautiful thing. Has beautiful like music, sounds, and it's really just like, you gotta see it to believe it and love it, and again, embrace it. So that's the plot. That is the main plot. But like I said, the characters do really make this story and make this game. So one of the first things you do is, obviously, you're leveling up your players and you're going through the areas. You're going and fighting different little bosses and then like little enemies that have no HP, and just beat them up and level up and things of that sort. And one of the first areas is the Mushroom Kingdom. So obviously you go to the Mushroom Kingdom. Toad is crying and he's like, "Oh, we lost the princess," blah blah blah. And then like the first thing like they want you to do is obviously find Peach. Cool. What else is new? Even though we already found her and tried to capture her, but then she disappeared. Cool, whatever, awesome. The first character you gain in your group is Mallow. So Mallow is a Nimbus cloud from the land of Nimbus, and he's probably I want to say the funniest character of all of them, because first of all, he's weak. He's like, power wise, he's your weakest character, but he's a crybaby. He acts like a baby, but he's also the most confused. So, and what I mean by that is, Mallow originally thinks he's a frog, but if you look at the character, and you can look him up on your own, he looks like a cloud, but he's raised by a frog named Frogalicious. Very original. But it's funny because like, throughout the time, Mallow will cry, he'll whine, he'll act like he's brave, but then get beaten up quick, and it's just like it's so funny because like, just the interactions between him and Mario, Mallow and the enemies, it's very charming. It is so charming, and I'm going to use the word charm throughout this episode so much, because that is like, it really is like the most charming Mario game there is. So Mallow, his motivation is to, obviously, he finds out eventually he's not a frog, which is hilarious in itself. And like, if you ever do a full playthrough, you'll see this. And now his motive, aside from helping Mario along his journey, is to find his family, which eventually down the road you do. But Mallow's main purpose is, he's a support character, so he heals the other characters. He has a lot of magic behind him. Great, cool, that's Mallow. Signed, sealed, delivered. The next character that you get and gain throughout this, and a couple star pieces down the road, is Geno. So Geno is a doll. Mario eventually goes into one of the houses, and he has to play dolls with like one of these other little characters to make her happy, and the little girl actually knocks out Mario. And when Mario's knocked out, there's this cutscene where Geno comes to life. Like, he's a magic doll, he comes to life, and eventually you learn that Geno is the warrior, the keeper of Star Road. So that's his tie into the whole story. His motive is to help Mario find the 7 stars, which will then complete Star Road and then fix his home, because he's the warrior and the keeper of Star Road. So Geno is obviously one of the more powerful characters, high HP in life, very, good attacker, has a lot of magic behind him. You don't use him as a healer. But Gino is like, you know, he's tough. He's he's the one, he's a go-to character. If you want to get things done quick and beat him up, like, that's your guy. And that's my boy. Like, Gino, like, that's my one. That's my guy. So that's Gino's motive, is he's trying to fix Star Road, get all the star pieces, help Mario, get to the end. Cool. Eventually, now, throughout the time you're going through the map, you then run into Peach and Bowser again, obviously separately. So, obviously, Bowser, still pissed off, still crying, whining, complaining that his keep, his castle, got overtaken. So he's pissed off. And you find Bowser, and Bowser agrees to hop on the team. And this is like I said, this is probably the most unique, one of the more unique parts of this game, is because Bowser is never your friend. He, in like any game that you play, he's never your friend. He's always the enemy. He's always the main guy. You're trying to get to the end, beat him up, and save Princess. But Bowser's obviously, he's the brute. He's the strength. He's, high attack power, does a lot of damage, takes a lot of damage, and helps you throughout the way. And then eventually you run into Peach again, and Peach obviously hops on the team because that's Mario's girl, and ultimately Peach helps out. Peach is obviously, her main motive is to help Mario get to the end, and save the world, save everything and anything. And then Peach is mainly used for healing because she has like the ultimate like healing magic power that heals the whole group at once, and so on and so forth. So you get your 5 characters. You only use 3 at a time throughout the battles. You sub them in and out depending on who you're fighting along the way. And like, what's really cool about this game is you're getting the 7 star pieces, but there are bosses along the way that you've got to beat. So it's not like your original, Mario 3 game where you're trying to beat all the Koopas one level at a time. Like, it's all new characters. Like, all the bosses are different. They all are powerful in their own way. They're all like leaders of certain like little groups, and some are funny, some are dead serious, some are pay homage to other games, which is really cool because it ties in a lot of cool things. What I mean by that is there's a couple a few things that like pay homage to like Final Fantasy. One of the like secret bosses is actually one of the big bosses of Final Fantasy, and you actually get a nod to the Power Rangers in this game, because in this game you have to fight what's called the Axum Rangers, which is kind of cool because it's the different colors of the Power Rangers, but like they all have different axes, and they're called the Axum Rangers. So it's like, it pays homage to that. And obviously, you guys, if you've followed me at all, know me at all, Mario, Luigi, the Power Rangers, like, that's my bread and butter. So like this game was like made for me. So again, like, it's just so cool how this game like plays out and all that. So now fast forward to later on, and you get back to a point where you save Star Road, you get all the 7 pieces, you then get, after you find Mallow's family in Nimbus Land and defeat that big boss, you then get to hover over to Bowser's Keep. You go back to Bowser's Keep, you play a few puzzle games to get to Exor, which is the sword, and you fight Exor the sword. Great. You beat the sword, and then the sword opens his mouth. And then at that point, the sword sucks you in, and then there's this whole new level, which is the final level, which is where you're going to meet the final boss. Like, you're finally going to meet the final boss. So if you are one who just runs through games, like not speed run, but like you don't read all the story, you don't read all the conversations, things of that sort, you wouldn't even know that Exor, you would think the sword is the final boss. He's not. Who actually is the final boss is called Smithy, which is, Smithy is a robot. He's a robot blacksmith, which he ends up being the final boss. But before you get to him, you obviously get sucked into the sword, and then you're in Smithy's lair, as I like to call it, where you kind of fight weaker versions of all the bosses again. And it's like this really dark area. Then you get to Smithy's factory. You beat a couple more of like the secondary final bosses, and then you get to Smithy at the end. You fight the final boss. Really tough boss at the end, especially in RPG formats. You defeat him, you win the game, and signed, sealed, delivered, and that's the game. Again, but like if you've never played it before, you wouldn't know how amazing it is. But like every little area has its different beauties to it, and for like for any Mario fan at home, Yoshi is in the game. You use him very briefly in one of the smaller levels, and then Luigi's not in the game at all, which kind of pisses me off because Luigi's like, that's my favorite Mario character outside of Gino, but my favorite like repeating Mario character is Luigi, but he's not in the game. Like, but it's okay. I'm not going to get on a rant about that right now. So it is a definite long play because it's an RPG game. But that is Super Mario RPG in a nutshell of what it actually is. But again, it's a game that I love, I embraced. I've played through this game so many times. Never had a sequel, which obviously is one of the things that I would wish changed about this. It never had a sequel. It had its like spirit, what in the gaming industry we called spiritual sequels, that are like games that were like it but weren't connected to it. So like in the RPG format of Mario, like this was the first RPG type format in the Mario world. But obviously Paper Mario came around, and then Mario and Luigi Superstar Saga came around, and those are your like RPG games when it comes to Mario, right? So you have that. But like if you're looking for if you're a big RPG fan, even if you're a Mario fan, it's definitely one you want to play through, because everything I just stated in the last like 15 minutes, like that is what you are in for. It's beauty, it's charm, it's so funny, and it's not easy. Like it's like, yes, you as a kid, like I was able to beat it, but like you can die a lot. Like, and throughout like the levels, you level up your weapons, you level up your magic ability, you level up your what do you call it? Drawing a blank here, but your shields, things of that sort. But like, it's not an easy game, and some of these bosses are really tough. So it's not like a regular Mario playthrough where you're just going through levels, duck diving, dodging, jumping, obviously jumping. But like, it really is different, and like back then, it really is a different type Mario game, which I think is why I really fell in love with it. What in my podcast, what I love to ask all of my guests, in the past and in the future, is what I would change in this game. There's two things. The whole Luigi thing aside. The first thing is the fact that it never had a direct sequel. I think they could have spun this off with, a Geno story, a Mallow story, or even just like finding another story with Mario in it and having a great sequel behind it, because it was so good. It was just so good. But I would have changed that. I wish they had a direct sequel. And then the other thing is Mallow and Geno, you never see them again. And what I mean by that is, like, you obviously see Bowser all the time across the Mario universe. You see Peach obviously across the Mario universe. You see Toad, you see Yoshi. But like Mallow and Gino, you never see again in the Mario sagas. Like you don't. Like in Super Smash Brothers Ultimate, like I know there's that Spirit playthrough. They're both spirits in that, which is cool. But like you never play as them. And like they were such good characters, and you'll obviously never know this until you actually play through this game. But like they would be amazing characters as callbacks in the the games from 96 till now and then future Mario games, but they just never brought them back. But those would be my changes. So guys, obviously if you're looking for a Mario game that you've never played before, or you love RPG, Super Mario 64, or I'm sorry, Super Mario RPG Legend of the Seven Stars for Super Nintendo. If you have a Super Nintendo, go find it. If you have an emulator, download it. Or even if you have a Nintendo Switch, they made a remake of it a couple years ago, and they did a really good job. Like they obviously polished it all up. They made a couple changes, like you could do like combined attacks, things of that sort. But like what I love that Nintendo Switch did was they kind of left it alone. Like they really they polished it up really nicely. They added that little element of like the combined attacks, but like they really did leave it alone, and they kept a lot of the charm of the original game to it. So again, if I convinced you, or if you love what you heard, download it, go buy it for Nintendo Switch, use it, like download it as an emulator, go on eBay, find an old copy, and just enjoy it. Like really, truly enjoy it. Like it is, I could honestly speak for hours about this game, but like that's my hard sell on why this is so amazing. But yeah, after this quick break, we're gonna go into our brand new segment, which is called Question of the Day, and then we will wrap up for this episode. All right, guys, so welcome back. We are going to go into our final segment, and our new segment here on season 2 of Console to Console podcast, which is called Question of the Pod, Question of the Day. This question came from actually a fellow podcaster called Behind the Camera Podcast. So if you guys haven't listened to that podcast, it's a really successful podcast. There's actually a book coming out by this content creator that is going to be released on Amazon in, I want to say, a couple months. We're getting closer to that book release, but Behind the Camera Podcast, it's on all platforms. Make sure you do so. The creator, Andy Games _94, really great dude. Successful streamer, now turned pretty much full podcaster. He actually sent this question in, and it is, when you think of the Mario games past and present, Super Mario RPG often doesn't seem to be part of the conversation. What is it about this specific game that sets it apart for you personally? So I think I alluded to this during the main segment of the pod. It's the charm behind the story and the characters behind it. So obviously throughout like Mario games, like you get the storyline and all that, but like I think the storyline of this game goes so in depth, especially when you're reading the conversations throughout and like the motives behind the characters that really do set it apart. It's one of those things where obviously in Mario games, Mario has his motive, he has his like what he has to do, but like the fact that the 5 characters all have different motives behind them in succeeding to get to the end of the game and saving the quote-unquote Mario world, I think that's so unique, and I think that's so important to why this game is such a success and so special on its own. And then again, like the charm behind this game, just the interactions of the characters, I really feel like it's just so unique and different from any other Mario game you'll play. And obviously you would not know this unless you play it, so if you have a chance, go play. If you want to do a long play, definitely something to go through. But that would be my direct answer to that. With all that said, guys, it was a great episode in my eyes. A great episode back. Season 2 officially underway of Console to Console podcast. Like I said at the intro, we're going to try to be bringing you 2 to 3 episodes a month going forward, that now that we're officially back on the airwaves. But with that said, enjoy listening on all platforms. You know where to find me. It's on Twitch and on TikTok, LuigiDini and LuigiDini Stream. And you'll see From Console to Console podcast on all podcasting platforms and on YouTube, of course. But with that said, guys, it was an amazing episode. I am so happy to be back. I can't wait to bring you a good season coming forward. And as always, deuces, ooses, and we will check you next time.